Let's talk about one of the biggest, most fascinating mysteries in all of neuroscience, your brain's absolutely massive and kind of unexplained energy bill.
So get this, your brain, right? It's only about 2% of your body weight, but it devours a whopping 20% of all the energy your body uses. That means this little organ is an incredible energy hog. We're talking 10 times more fuel than you'd expect just based on its size alone.
For the longest time, the thinking was, okay, that energy is for the hard stuff, solving a puzzle, having a deep conversation. But when scientists actually measured it, the energy for those active tasks was tiny, like a tiny fraction of the brain's total budget. The numbers just didn't add up at all.
And this huge gap, this puzzle, is what scientists call the energy paradox. And trying to solve it has literally forced them to completely rethink how our brains work, leading to this major shift in perspective.
Here's that shift in a nutshell. The old view was that the brain is basically reflexive. It just kind of sits there, waiting for something to happen in the outside world, and then it reacts. But the new view, it's that the brain is fundamentally intrinsic. It's proactive. The vast majority of its work is happening internally, all the time in the background. And this massive, constant internal hum of activity got a pretty cool nickname from neuroscientist Marcus Rachel. He calls it the brain's dark energy. So what is this dark energy? Well, to figure that out, we have to go small. I'm talking down to the level of a single neuron. And this is where things get really wild. It turns out, recent discoveries point to a major source of this energy drain being, well, a fundamentally leaky system. Okay, so here's how it works. Our neurons are built for speed, not for efficiency. The chemical signals they use are stored in these tiny little containers that are constantly, slowly leaking. So just to stay ready to fire at a moment's notice, there's this little molecular pump that has to run nonstop 24/7, topping them off. It's like keeping your car's engine redlining all the time just in case you need to floor it. Now, take that one tiny constant energy leak and multiply it by the hundreds of trillions of these vesicles in your brain, all leaking at the same time. When you add all that up, it becomes this absolutely massive constant energy cost. It's a huge part of what the brain is doing, even when it's resting. Okay, so we've got this leaky, high-performance engine at the cellular level. But what is it powering? What is all this background energy actually for? Well, say hello to the default mode network. You know when you're daydreaming, just staring out a window, or letting your mind wander? Your brain isn't taking a break, not even close. It's switched into this highly active, highly organized state. And get this, the energy it uses in this default mode is almost as much as when it's tackling a really tough problem. And this image, this is what that dark energy looks like in action. This isn't a brain crunching numbers or learning a language. This is a brain supposedly at rest. And you can see all this widespread, coordinated activity. It proves the brain is never, ever quiet. So what's it doing? What's the point of the default mode network? Well, a leading theory is called the Bayesian brain. The idea is that all this background activity isn't just noise. It's your brain running an incredibly complex simulation of reality. It's using everything it's ever learned to constantly make predictions about what's going to happen next. And what's wild is that this isn't some brand new idea. Way back in 1890, the psychologist William James basically nailed it. He said that a huge part of what we perceive doesn't come from our senses, but comes out of our own head. He was way ahead of his time. So, what does it mean for you and me that our brains are constantly running this incredibly expensive predictive model? Well, it means our thinking has to happen on a very, very tight budget. Because that energy supply is finite, your brain has to make choices. When you really focus on a hard task, it has to divert power. It actually pulls energy away from processing other things, like all the distractions around you. It's a constant metabolic trade-off. And this explains a very common experience called inattentional blindness. Have you ever been so deep in a conversation that you completely missed an email popping up on your screen? That's not you being careless. That's your brain managing its energy budget. It literally didn't have the fuel to process both things at once. Now, this high-cost, high-performance brain we have didn't just appear out of nowhere. It was a very specific and pretty dramatic investment our ancestors made on their evolutionary journey. I mean, just look at the numbers. After our evolutionary line split from chimpanzees, the part of our brain responsible for complex thought, the prefrontal cortex, went into metabolic overdrive. Its energy evolution accelerated 4 times faster than other brain regions. We basically bet all our evolutionary chips on a more powerful and way more expensive mind.
And you can actually see the chemical fingerprints of that bet right here. These charts show how the levels of key chemicals in the brain, the ones involved in things like learning and memory, change dramatically in humans. That pattern you see there, that's the signature of a brain evolving to support much more advanced thinking.
Okay, so let's bring it all home. We've got all the clues. It's time to put the pieces of the puzzle together and solve the mystery of the brain's dark energy.
Here's the deepest truth of it. At its very core, your brain is in a constant battle with the universe. It's fighting against the second law of thermodynamics, the natural tendency for everything to fall apart into chaos. And just maintaining the incredible order and complexity that is your mind requires a constant, massive fire hose of energy.
So here's the bottom line. This dark energy isn't waste. It's not a bug, it's the central feature. It's the price we pay for being us. It's the cost of running that leaky but incredibly fast cellular engine. It's the energy we need to constantly predict the future instead of just reacting to it. It's the fuel for our unique cognitive powers. And ultimately, it's the cost of building and maintaining the entire model of reality that you experience as consciousness. Which leaves us with one last, kind of mind-bending question to chew on. If your brain's main job is to spend most of its energy building a prediction of reality, instead of just passively seeing it, then how much of the world you experience every single day is actually an invention? Something to think about, for sure.